Welcome back. This is Wisconsin Shoe Guy, and today we're going to take a look at a pair of shoes that has a little bit of damage and see whether or not we can cover it up. Now, the first thing I did was I cleaned these using Pure Polish conditioner and cleaner, and then this shoe I gave a full polish treatment to, including the edge. Here, this is just plain cleaning, and so what we're going to do now is we're going to put the water and that shoe aside, and then we're going to take a look at this one. Now, this is freshly brushed. It's had time to dry. I actually did this several hours ago. And we're going to start with, we're going to do a 3-color polish. So we're going to start with Pure Polish Walnut, and then we're going to follow that with brown, and then we're going to move to dark brown on certain areas. Now, the coloring on this, I'm going to use this as well, but the coloring on this is going to be pretty subtle. As you can see from the other one, it really does come up with a nice uniform look at the end. So this is the color, and you can see this is pretty close, this walnut, compared to this Crockett & Jones chestnut. And we're just going to do a very, very thin coat of this across the whole shoe. This is cream polish. So this is to recolor and to, get rid of scratches, any kind of imperfections that are in the leather itself. This will do. Now you can see, as I said, a very, very thin layer across the whole shoe. And we're just going to rub it in here as we go. This is not really adding a shine. This is just providing a layer of protection underneath the wax, and gets in, here, these are the creasing. Now, Crockett & Jones crease really, really well. It's very, very minor, and that's because they fit. I had a pair of Crockett & Jones in the hand grade last, that was very roomy, or mat creased tremendously, but it was also a hole cut, so different things here. But I'm gonna put a second coat on here. Now, I had originally had darkness across the brogues, and when I did the cleaning, I probably did 4 applications of the conditioner cleaner in order to get all of that off, as well as I had a high shine on the back and on the toes. And as you know, I'm more into the subtle shines now, so not quite going as high a shine as I may have in the past. Now I'm doing a little bit on the edge as well, really just for good measure. The edges on this are actually in pretty decent shape, all things considered. Now, Pure Polish takes a lot longer really to dry than the other makers. Just has less alcohol in it. And so what I'm going to do is I'm just going to brush it in, and that will help do it. Now, when you brush it in, instead of brushing, wax off, I don't lift the brush from it. I really just kind of try to brush it in, kind of like you're brushing your hair. It's just a different technique. Like if I'm buffing, I'll do this. But here, I'm just brushing in. Now, that's easy peasy. Let's go to the regular brown. Now here, I'm really gonna stay focused on a couple areas. I really wanna get onto the facing. Just a little bit of subtle color. Darken up the toes just a little bit. And then on the heels, it's because I want them to have a slightly different tinge over the course of wear on these shoes. Now, I don't do a deep polish like this very often, so I probably do it every 7 wears, which is almost 2 years, given the size of my rotation. So I want them to be well nourished and in really, really great shape. Now, the reason that I'm doing this is because of this toe. You can see I had a little bit of a gouge there. And so I'm gonna use this, and this is ebony, and I'm just gonna roll the roly part along the edge here to make sure that it's not bunched up. There was a flap, and that flap has a bit of a gouge. Now I could sandpaper the whole thing down, but I want to do this with polish. So just covering it there. Now you can see that there's a polish edge on my polish as well on the inside. So how do you deal with that? So you take this off, and you have the part here, and I like to pull this out, do a little triangle, like so. And when you're doing it to clean the welt, you push down on one side, and when you're trying to get in the edge here, you push down on the other. Not overly complicated, easy to do. And I do this to actually clean the welt as well. As you can see, this has very beautiful welt detailing that we're fudging, which I definitely want to keep in there. So now I'm going to brush in here again. And then I'm just gonna buff it a little bit in the traditional sense. You can see that's still pretty visible. Okay. So now it's time to get a little darker. Now the darker, and interestingly enough, I actually did this in the reverse order on the other pair, is still very subtle. All right, so this is my bare finger now, and you can see it's dark, but it's not very dark, and it doesn't cover a lot. You can see here, get in the little nooks and crannies. And I like to do a little bit of dark along the baseline here as well. This makes the shoes look a little bit older than they are, and that's okay. They call that aging. And we're just gonna do this again. And now just a little bit on the back. See? And you probably hear my son calling my dog for dinner. It's that time of the evening. All right. Yeah, we got some fingerprints on the shoe. Just holding it. So we're just gonna brush those in. We're gonna brush here. Now, traditionally, what I would do, and what I did on the other shoe, is at this stage, I let this dry for about an hour because it needs to dry. But what I'm gonna do instead is I'm going to dampen my brush a little bit, and I'm just gonna buff it. Because really what I want is I want to put some wax on this to show you how it evens up at the end. All right. So again, nothing super fantastic, but when you look at them side by side, they are getting to be a lot closer. So go ahead and close this up. Now this is one of those things where subtlety, I think, works. And so now we're gonna go to our wax. And I'm gonna go back to my rag because I just think it applies a little bit better with the rag. And okay. Now this is brown polish on these chestnut shoes. I could go with a lighter color polish. I just don't really feel like I need to. I even have a lighter color cream polish, but the wax is, I do everything in darker colors because it's really transparent and it doesn't really hurt anything. Now there's still some water on the brush. You can see this polishes up pretty nice. Try to get that onto the camera there. Apologies, huh? Kraken Jones makes very, very good pairs of shoes, and they do take polish exceptionally well. Now, did a little bit too much there, but that's okay, as we're just gonna put a little bit more wax on. And now if we go to the races, try to get that just shined up a little bit. Now it takes time. And I got the tripod. What I'm gonna do is go to a cleaner part of my rag. Very little bit of water. All right, so now you can see the start of a shine starting on this, and you can also see that I've got fingerprints on the rest of the shoe, which I've gotta get off. And fingerprints will be an easy thing to just brush off afterwards, but getting the toe right is more important. I'm trying to just do this in one direction. Now I'm going to stop with the brown, and I'm gonna go to the dark brown. See how different the color is? It's just a very, very slight shade different. Just a very light touch, and then a little bit more around the back. And then again, now this is, you gotta put a little bit of pressure on, a little bit of elbow grease. And what you want to do is you want to just keep doing it until you see the shine start to lift in the wax. Because once it does, then you let it fully dry, and then you can brush it to a shine tomorrow. I don't like to bring pure polish with me on the road. I feel like it takes too long in a setting right before I'm going to go to the office or something like that, or to a meeting. So, but for doing it in the house, it actually lasts longer than traditional shines using Saphir or others, which is why I like using it. I've had this last 14, 15 wears and keep a really, really good high shine with minimal with minimal intervention, you know, or touch-ups. All right, so now starting to get to that point where I need a clean spot. So I'm going to do this again. And it's just starting to lift up. As you can see that, what I'm gonna do, so I'm just gonna lift it faster with the brush. And the reason I don't do two shoes in these type of videos usually is because this can take a while. I strongly recommend doing this on 2 or 3 speed. It's not like I'm going to say anything that's earth-shattering. It's like every shine video you've ever seen. If you prefer, watch it on Instagram with a nice music background. Well, I don't seem to have any of my high shine cloths, so I'm just going to keep doing it with this. I like using old dress shirts as high shine cloths. I think that they do a really nice job. Once they're at the stage, we're going to have to get rid of them anyway. And of course, you wear dress shirts every day like I used to, you do go through them. here in my rickety old chair. Now, sometimes I'll use a high shine wax. Sometimes I won't. Depends. Sometimes I'll do a color along the edge. But I haven't done the Corthe, which actually creates a pattern like this. Like so. That is an interesting pattern, but I've never been able to successfully pull that off. So with that, I'm gonna call it, because I think I'm gonna go and get a high shine cloth to finish it. But this is what I'm going for, and I think candidly just needs to dry, and then it'll pull that off. So this is Wisconsin Shoe Guy. I hope you find that helpful. Let me know in the comments below questions that you have.